Australia's war correspondent and historian Charles Bean was the first to define what they stood for. Reckless valour in a good cause, enterprise, resourcefulness, fidelity, comradeship and endurance. And he gave all that a name. He called it the Anzac spirit. Bean put valour first on his list. Now, we could talk about Victoria Cross recipients, but if you know anything about the First World War, you would never question the valour of the ordinary soldier. They stuck at it through the oppressive heat of the desert in Palestine or the sodden trenches of the Somme. They kept going. Up to the front line, back into battle, time after time. Believe me, you could pick virtually any photograph in this memorials collection and with a little bit of research, uncover a story of courage. And this guy is worth including because he's not exceptional. This is Jonathan Buckley with his sisters Bid, Rose and Vi. He was a coal miner from Corrimal in New South Wales, and as you can tell from the Regimental Sergeant Major John Tandy, awarded the military medal because whenever the fire was particularly intense, his gallantry was of a very high order. Sitting next to Tandy is Sergeant William Marshall, also awarded the military medal because his coolness, bravery and dash gave a wonderful stimulus. Some groups toured Australia and beyond for several years after the war, and one started touring when the war was still raging. They were called the Gallipoli Strollers, and their handbills said it all. Every performer a returned wounded Anzac, introducing songs, sketches and monologues composed in the trenches. Half a dozen blokes, one who'd lost a leg, one who'd lost an eye, back in Australia, they find a way of making a quid and staying together as mates. And you'd have to say that's St Quentin and Perone, and pressing on to the Hindenburg line. So how faithful to their original beliefs were those battle-worn men, some of whom had been fighting for up to 4 years? Lieutenant Lancelot Horniman from Melbourne wrote to his father in 1915, "I do not in the least fear anything that may happen, as it will be by God's will and in the course of the performance of one's duty." It is quite easy, you see, to face danger with that thought in mind. In 1917, he wrote a letter to his mum.